Chad, awesome to meet you, and congratulations on an absolutely cracking sequel. The reviews for the first two movies, hopefully there's going to be a third one, have been extremely positive. You don't often see that with action movies. Were you yourself surprised at how the critics received it?
Nobody's more surprised than me. You just try to make a movie that you want to see, and that's what we did on the first one. We made it a genre film of action stuff that over the years we thought would be fun. And we didn't expect to do a sequel after that one. And then when we made this one, it was like, look, we went through 3 months of development. We're trying to make a movie that we thought other people wanted to see, and we're like, just stop. Finally, we threw all our notes away and went, all right, screw this. What do we want? Where would John, just forget we ever have to get a review again. What would we make? And that's pretty much the movie we made.
This has been described as a classic. It's an action classic. And is that because you think the action is so muscular, and we've never seen this kind of action in a Western film? We've kind of seen drips and drabs and stuff like Hard Boiled. Yeah,
a lot of Asian cinema references in it. I mean, that's my influences. Whether it's from Peckinpah or Sergio Leone or Akira Kurosawa, huge Japanese animation fan, so a lot of it comes from that kind of framing and composition. And never underestimate that Keanu and I both came from the Wachowski school of filmmaking, which I think to say they were geniuses, you have to work with them to understand the kind of genius and attention to detail that goes into any of their shots. So that kind of, after 10 years, kind of permeated us. I don't know. Again, we just kind of made the kind of movie and the kind of action that we had always wanted to make as second unit directors, but were, because of the other creative tastes or elements in the room, preferred more shaky camera, fast editing, or they tried to infuse things that wasn't in the scene to begin with. You can cut as fast as you want, but if your scene doesn't have energy to begin with, we always go from the live performance rule, at least that's from the school of choreography and action design that I'm from. If you sit back in the rehearsal hall and you watch and go, Jesus, that's really good, then at least you start here. So between questionable techniques of editing or camera work or direction or performance, at least you're starting here, you're notching down. But if you don't start there, if you're starting here and then you notch down, you're kind of taking away the probability of success. So we start there with a very talented man doing, or trying to do very hard or very long takes or very intricate stuff to improve the honesty or the believability of the character. And pretty much as a director, just don't trip over yourself. Don't get in the way. If you really think about it, back in the 70s, they didn't cut a lot. It was just because they were cutting on film, and on a moviola, you can't do that kind of cutting without the digital data. It would take months.
Is it more pressure then to get it in the first take? Because you obviously don't want anybody to get hurt. You want to keep that intensity.
Not usually how it works, and we all have rhythms, and after working with Keanu for so long, he has a rhythm, and to tell you the truth, most of the takes we use are the earlier, it's either take 1 or 2 or take 4 and 5. We're pretty good about keeping it under 10 takes, as opposed to the Matrixes that, we're literally doing 50, 60 takes on things. But again, we controlled, as former stunt people, we controlled the environment. So we had the financial resource to bring in the best stunt teams, and those are the guys who rehearsed with for all those months. So again, by the time we walked on the set, everybody had done this. The cameraman had seen it. It was a unified effect, which gave us a higher probability of success. But yeah, you worry about the number of takes for sure.
And you've got a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in there. Mm-hmm. That's not something we've seen a whole lot of in movies. Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon in the 80s. And now, was MMA, was the UFC, was there, in terms of how you shot the hand-to-hand combat stuff, was that an influence?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of old judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu, as well as I'm a current practitioner, and we own a facility that teaches all these martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. Tricky to shoot because of the ground stuff. Actually, we chose the grappling arts with longer takes. Every time you interact with a stunt person or an adversary, every time you shoot, every time you do a reload, every time you round a corner, there's a chance for failure. There's a chance you have to do it again. So longer takes mean you gotta nail everything because there's no out. I'm not just gonna cut into an insert. So rather than trying to sell kicks and punches and kicks, you have to line up you have a small degree of error in there. Grappling, I say, Keanu, just grab the guy, no matter where he is, slam him a couple times and throw him. So there was no misses. So we suggested that might be the way to go. And Keanu had never done that before, but he looked at it and was like, people don't do that because it's slow. You can't go, ga, 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 ga. You have to it's just slower motion. So people were very resistant. We're like, screw it. We're just going to embrace it and just make, John Wick a force of nature. So when he grabs you, you got a problem. And that's kind of the vibe we wanted to get. And it also went really well with close quarter gun work.
It's a cracking film, and like I do MMA myself, and it was great to see it portrayed properly on screen.
I think we did about 34 different judo throws in there, so see if you can name them all. I challenge you.
Brilliant, great to meet you, Chad. Thanks
Pleasure,
so much for your time.
Thank you.